table near here?
Yeah.
Right here? Okay, it's right here. All right, perfect.
Straight to the point.
Oh, yeah. So awesome, Miss Anissa. So how long have you lived here?
Oh, goodness, it's been about 15 years now.
15 years. Wow, that's a long time. I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of changes in the last 15 years.
Yes. Yes. A lot of changes.
Are you originally from here, from this area in Georgia?
No, I was born and raised in Connecticut.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. I used to live up north. I used to live in New York. So yeah, I'm familiar with that area.
Nice. So you're used to the snow.
Not really. I always get out of here before the snow starts because I'm not with the cold weather. So as soon as it starts snowing, I'm gone.
Yeah. That's the reason why I left.
Okay. You moved here to Georgia, right?
Yes.
Awesome, good deal. So yeah, so you had requested the information for the life insurance coverage, correct?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So what I do is that I'm an independent insurance broker. Okay, I'm contracted with about 50 different companies. They all specialize in like life insurance, mortgage protection, retirement planning, right?
Okay.
So the companies that I represent is like Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, American General, Foresters. You can long list of them, but they're all A-rated companies. So what I'm going to do for you here today, I'm going to shop those companies, and then I'm going to match you with the best one. Okay. So the company is going to offer you the most coverage for the lowest cost. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then if we find a company that's going to be able to meet those requirements, what we will then do is to send into that company an application. And then the underwriters are the ones that will get back to us to let us know if you will be approved for coverage.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. So what would I need to do
Yeah.
to submit an application?
Perfect. Good. I'm glad you asked that question. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to take about just 5 minutes just to ask you a few health questions. Another 5 minutes just to ask you a few financial questions. And then we can go over the options and then we can submit in the application.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Now you are, like I said, you wanted the information of the life insurance coverage, right?
Yes.
So most of my clients that I sit with, Ms. Anissa, they either don't have any coverage at all, or they have some, they just don't have enough.
Yeah.
Or they just want to leave back behind a legacy for their children or for their grandchildren. What category would you fall under?
I'm no longer insured because I'm retired. So when I retired from my job,
You lost
that's
that
when my
coverage.
coverage ended. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you have no insurance outside of work.
Right.
Yeah. And that's something that I talk to a lot of clients when I'm with them in my appointments, when they are at work, when they have that coverage, to let them know that, hey, this coverage is not going to be there when you do retire. So I'm glad that you're being proactive now, though, to making sure that you do have some protection in place, right?
Yeah.
So, Ms. Anissa, who would be the person that would be the one that would be picking up the pieces in the event you're not here tomorrow? Who would that person be?
My daughter.
Your daughter? Okay. And what's her name?
Anaya.
Anaya. Okay, that's pretty. Does she live here in Georgia with you?
She does.
Okay, gotcha. And I'm guessing she has her own life, her own family. All that.
Not a family yet.
Not a family yet, okay.
Yeah, she's having her own life.
Okay.
She's still pretty young, but she's old enough to be my beneficiary, I would assume.
Okay, she's over 18.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Gotcha. And I'm guessing you just don't want to leave behind that burden on Miss Anissa, right? Anaya, right? Right. I'm guessing she wouldn't be able to come out of her pocket $15,000-$20,000 on a whim.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. And that's why you wanted to make sure that you had a protection in place today. Right.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna take out my client worksheet, and then I'm gonna ask them Anissa the questions. So I'm gonna say, okay, Anissa, so do you already, so you don't already have any coverage in place, but do you have anything else that would maybe act like life insurance that could pass on to Anaya?
I have an IRA.
Okay. How much is in that IRA?
I have about 50,000.
50,000. Do you mind if I take your book to make notes, so I can act like I'm actually, you can come back to me.
Yeah.
All right. So so you have 50,000 in your IRA. Okay. All right, gotcha. And this 50,000, that's for your retirement, right? So this is what you want to live off when you are now retired.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, are you taking any medications right now, Anissa?
No. I just, seasonal allergies. Just
Okay.
regular over-the-counter type stuff.
Okay, gotcha. And I know you're not taking anything now, but have you ever had to take anything in the past, like say in the past, 5 to 10 years?
No, no, I've never been on medication for anything other than when I did have brain surgery back in 2011. They did give me that Percocet, and I took one and felt like I was blowing it, and never took another one again.
Okay, that makes sense. So brain surgery, why did you have to have brain surgery?
It was just a growth on my pituitary stem. It turned out to be a cyst. It wasn't a
It
tumor.
wasn't a tumor, it wasn't cancerous or anything like that. Okay, all right, gotcha. So, and that was in 2012, and you haven't had any issues since?
No.
And no medications for that since?
Right.
Okay. Now, I do have to ask you though, have you ever had any other pre-existing conditions? Like, have you ever had any history of cancer?
No.
Stroke,
No stroke.
diabetes,
No.
kidney or lung issues?
Well, they did say that I'm kind of like borderline pre-diabetic, but they didn't put me on any medication. I'm not on any medication right now. So right now I'm just trying to control my diet. But my brother keeps having these Taco Thursdays, and I'm having a real hard time with that.
So for the pre-diabetes, you're trying to control it with diet and exercise.
Yes. So I'm not on meds for that, but my doctor did say like I'm borderline.
Okay, all right. So controlling that with diet and exercise, no meds.
Right.
Okay. And you said no kidney, no lung issues.
Right.
And the surgery was back in 2012. You haven't had any surgery since?
No.
Okay. And no other medications?
Right.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Now, you did mention that you want to be, well, I didn't ask you actually, do you want to be buried or do you want to be cremated?
That's a good question because I originally wanted cremation. But, my belief system is that, eventually my body is going to go back to the Lord. So I realized that I probably need to have my body here.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to do a burial.
A burial. Okay. Got it. You never know.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to be buried, and you did mention that you're from Connecticut. So do you want your body to be transferred back home?
No, pretty much all my family is down here.
Is down here. So you would be buried here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Now, do you have any other expenses or any other bills or debt that Anaya would have to take care of for you when you pass? Like, do you have any loans?
Well, no, I don't have any loans. I just finished paying off my student loans.
Good job.
Yeah,
Good for
I'm
you.
62 years old and I just finished paying them off. That's
Good for you. At least you did.
So, but yes, I'm one of those late starters in life to where I just recently purchased my home.
Perfect.
So, like
So-
I said, I've been here for 15 years, so that's one thing that I'm probably gonna leave to my daughter.
Okay, so you do have a mortgage.
Mhm.
Okay, how much do you owe now on your mortgage?
So, I don't know, 1200. How much do I owe?
Yeah,
Just make a number.
200,000.
Two.
I'm actually.
It's 150.
100,000. Okay, gotcha. And how much is your mortgage monthly?
About 1200.
1,200. Okay, gotcha. Any other debt, loans, bills? Do you have any
No.
like medical expenses? No, because you're fairly healthy, right?
Right. My car is paid off.
Are paid off. Okay.
So I don't really have any other debts. I'm pretty much enjoying life right now.
Okay.
Retired early
Good deal.
at 62. I literally just recently retired.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so just the mortgage, that is your only major debt. And then do you want to leave back anything else behind for like your grandchildren or any other family members?
I think I'm gonna probably figure that out later. I have time to think about that, right? I don't have to do it right now.
Right. So right now we're just trying to figure out how much coverage is it that you would actually need. So if there is like a family member that you want to leave back something behind, or a charity, some people do leave back something for charity, or their pets, whatever.
Okay.
You could put that aside as well.
Yeah. So yes, I do have another daughter.
Okay.
However, she's not old enough.
Okay.
She's not of age. So I would think that yes, I had a baby late in life too.
Okay.
So
It's okay.
so I think we
Some
can
of us
just
are late
include-
bloomers. It's all right.
Yeah, so we can just include
Her as well.
with Anaya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And you did mention that you're 62.
Mhm.
And are you a smoker or a non-smoker?
Non-smoker.
Non-smoker. Okay. All right. Perfect. So thank you, Ms. Anissa, for all that information. So pretty much like what we just went over, like you said, you just want to make sure that when that time comes, your burial is pretty much covered and you do have a mortgage. So you want to make sure that that's covered as well, right? Okay. So what most clients do, Ms. Anissa, that's in your similar situation, so they're a little bit older, they have a huge mortgage. Oh, I forgot to ask you a pretty important question. How much do you make monthly? Because you are retired, right? Okay. So what is your income? Are you just receiving Social Security?
I actually have a pension.
A pension? Okay.
And so
How much do you get from your pension?
about 5,500.
5,500. Okay. And do you have any other income coming in?
With the recent retirement with Social Security, about 1,700.
Okay. All right. So total you have coming in about a little bit over 7,000. Okay, that's pretty good. And would you say, Anissa, about half of this will go out for your bills and your monthly expenses?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a pretty decent breathing room left over each month. Okay, good deal. All right. So what most clients do, Ms. Anissa, in your similar situation, is that they combine both their burial protection and their mortgage protection in one policy. It's like they're killing two birds with one stone, right? That way, when you do pass, the mortgage will be covered. That way, you don't leave behind that big burden on your daughter, and your burial protection is also covered as well, right? So based on the conversation that we've had, I was thinking that you would need something in the range between $200 to $150,000. Was that within the range that you were thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking minimum 100, but
Minimum
150,000 if I can.
Gotcha. That way it will pay off the huge chunk of the mortgage, right? Okay. All right. Perfect. So what I'm going to do right now, Ms. Anissa, I am going to check to see what carrier would be best to cover those amounts. So I'll look for 200, 150, and 100,000. That way you can decide and pick the one that you think would be best suited for your budget. Okay.
I do want something that's a little permanent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like payment's gonna
I was
change.
actually thinking about that, exactly that. So once I go over the numbers, I'll go over and I'll explain to you the plans and the features and the benefits of the plan.
Okay.
All right, perfect. So let me go ahead and find that right now for you. So she's 62, non-smoker, 200, 150, and 100,000. Does anyone have Mo IUL pulled up?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm ready for you.
I know Prince is always be ready.
IUL Express. I have a 62 years old
Mhm.
female non-smoker, and we are looking for 100,000.
100,000, yep.
And gonna be able to give you that quote, and that will be only 201.
201, perfect.
Yes.
And
then
what
we can
about
adjust
150?
Immediately for 150
Mm-hmm.
by taking off just one of the zeros and make it 5.
Okay.
And then that happens to be 302.
302,
And
okay,
immediately
perfect.
we jump back in
Mhm.
and take off that 1 and 5 to make it 2 and
200.
0.
Mhm.
And that will make it very easy, but she doesn't qualify because she's 62.
Okay.
She's gonna stop at 150.
Okay, all right, no worries. So then we can jump over to Foresters.
Okay,
And-
Forester is gonna be a little bit harder for me because I don't have the app.
Okay, no worries. So we'll make it up, right? So we'll
Yes.
say for 200,000, it will probably be about $380 because it's just 50,000 more. Okay.
It would be $400.
All right. So $400.
Yeah. The reason is because 100. Remember, 100 is 201.
No,
and we
it's
did
150.
150 for 302.
302.
And then you add 100 for every 50,000.
Okay, there you go.
I did math in school.
There you go. You know what? I didn't pass that class. I stole that class.
And I did my math in
I
Africa,
stole
so I
that
didn't make a calculator.
I stole that class. So thank you, Prince. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so now we have the numbers. Courtesy of Prince Mobile. Okay,
Yes.
there we go. All right, so, and then I always write out Where's my little thingy? I don't have it with me.
What's that?
My little 10-point benefit sheet, but I'll just pretend like I have it. Right? Don't have yours. Okay. All right.
What's that?
The product feature.
Product features of final expense, like the benefit
Yeah.
sheets.
It's
Like
in the
10.
knowledge library.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh man, Avery. give me that $9,000
I use it.
back.
I have to show you what I use
Yes,
in the home
show
because I
me.
laminated those sheets. There's 5 things that I use in the home, but let's finish this.
Yeah, I want to see what you guys
You have it in mortgage protection, you have it in final expense, and it helps you.
Yeah, still use the same, because it's pretty much the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man,
All right.
get that.
So, okay, Ms. Anissa, so I looked at these 3 options, what it would be to cover 200,000, 150,000, 100,000, right? So this is going to be an index universal life express policy with Mutual of Omaha. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with them, right?
I've heard of Index Universal Life, but I've never like really looked into it.
Okay, gotcha. I'll explain that to you here in a second, but I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Mutual Omaha. They've been around for like 300 and
Yes.
something years.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
I
perfect.
remember the commercials.
Yeah, yeah. It's so crazy when I go into some homes. Some of my clients are like, yeah, they used to that Animal Kingdom thing. I'm like, what Animal Kingdom? Like, okay, that's like way before me. Like, okay, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right. So I looked at 200,000, 150,000, 100,000. Okay.
Mhm.
So 200,000 in coverage would only be about 452 cents. 150,000 would only be like 302.21, and then 100,000 would only be 201 and 10 cents, right? Now, like I said, this policy is going to be an indexed universal life policy. So it's going to be a permanent insurance policy. So it won't expire until you expire.
Okay.
Okay. Your premiums are guaranteed to remain the same. So your premiums will never go up or go down or change. It will just stay level the entire time. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for explaining. It's so awesome. So your death benefit guaranteed to remain level. So your death benefit will never increase or go up on you, right? It's going to pass on directly to your beneficiary of choice. So your daughter, Anaya, wouldn't have to worry about, going through probate or court to get anything, because it's going to avoid probate or court. It will pass on directly to her.
Okay.
With this policy, it's going to be paid out tax-free. Insurance is the only thing that's paid out tax-free. So Uncle Sam won't get a single penny out of your money, right? This policy does double for accidental death, which is going to include that in the plan if we choose to do so. It does cover you for living benefits. So if you got really, really ill and you're like, you know what, I needed some money to cover whatever expenses, you can pull out a portion of this policy. I believe it's up to 80%. Okay. It will build cash value because it's an index universal life express. And with this coverage, it would be in effect immediately if you are approved. Now that I don't know, because I am not I'm not the actual underwriter, there's a field underwriter. So what we would have to do is to submit in the application to the actual underwriters for them to let us know if you would be approved. Okay. But if you were to be approved, which one of these 3 options would be best suited for you based on your budget?
The 150,000.
150,000 for 302.21 a month.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Anything that you'll be able to comfortably afford this each month, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, perfect. So what I'm going to need from you, Ms. Anissa, if you could grab for me a copy of your driver's license and your voided check, and then we can go ahead and submit the application. Perfect. Thank you so much. And that is it.
Nice.
GG. That is that, guys. So pretty much that is how I do my final expense in homes, like literally just like that. And then after we submit in the application, typically I let them know until a couple of days. So I'll reach back out to them, let them know if they're going to be approved. If they're going to be approved, they're going to be drafted within the next 2 to 3 business days. After they're drafted in the next 2 to 3 business days, then they'll actually get a copy of the policy mailed out to them, and they'll receive that policy in the mail in about 2 weeks. And if they haven't received it by then, they can just reach out to me and let me know, because I am their agent. I'm going to be the one that's going to be there for them. So any questions, any concerns, anything at all, let me know, because I'm going to be the one that will be there for them. And that's how we wrap that up.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Like you structured that appointment as a final expense appointment. If it was, say, a mortgage protection appointment, would you have done anything differently that you can highlight?
So if it's a mortgage protection appointment, I spend a lot more time on the why. And typically when it's a mortgage protection appointment, it's two people. So you have to navigate that a little bit differently. You have to find out who is going to be the person that will be hurting more in the event of the other person passing away. And then we need to know if we need to cover both of them, if we need to just cover one person, if you just want to just cover the breadwinner.
So good point. How do you ask that question to determine if you need to cover both?
So I ask them, so say I sit with a husband and a wife, and I try to figure out, of course, first what the income is. So I'll say, Jermaine, how much do you have coming in each month? And you say, 5,000. And then I'll say, okay, Anissa, how much do you have coming in each month? And you say maybe like 4,000. So I'll say, okay, so you guys are bringing in about
6,000 though.
There we go.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so you're bringing in
10,000. Yeah.
So you're bringing in 6,000. So I'm guessing you guys are bringing in about the same, although you're bringing in a little bit more.
Exactly. Thank you.
So I'm guessing then that in the event of either person not being here, it would be a struggle for either person, being that you guys are bringing in about the same. So I'm guessing that you guys would need about the same type of income to keep everything going the same way that you're accustomed to. Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah. That? Yes. Okay, great. So then I'm guessing you wanted to make sure that either person is protected in the event of a death. That way the mortgage is covered for you, and that way the mortgage is covered for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and look at what it would be to cover both of you guys, and then we can go from there and, tweak or formulate a plan based off that. Right. So that's how I ask, which one to cover. But if it was like significantly different, like if Anissa was making 6,000 and you were making like 1,000, I'll be like, oh, okay. Anissa, so I guess you're the major, you're the breadwinner. So we want to make sure that you're covered for Jermaine, right?
Yeah.
And then more than likely they'll say yes, because it doesn't matter if the other person passes, the person that's making the money is not going to be significantly affected because they make the money anyways.
Yeah. So I had a mortgage protection to where the husband, they're both in their like 50s, and they're 40. They just refinanced their house, and it's like 250,000 that they still owe. And
speak up just a little bit.
He was thinking, he said, during the appointment that, his wife is probably going to sell the house if something happens to him. She's probably not going to stay in the house. And apparently it's probably a lot of space, and she probably doesn't.
Good. Yeah.
So
that scenario, what happened?
With that scenario, both of them are just wanting to cover final expenses, 30,000 each.
Perfect.
Instead of covering the actual mortgage.
Okay.
So, but he literally told me that that's what he wanted.
Right.
But if he didn't tell me, I don't think I would have gotten him to that place. Maybe like, how would you get somebody to that place to?
Yeah.
Would you ask them like, what do you plan to have to the house?
So how old is he?
I can't remember.
Like in his 60s, 50s or something like that.
Yeah.
So typically when they're that age, the insurance is going to be like astronomical anyways. So I'm normally pitching buying time. Yeah, I'm pitching buying time. I'm not trying to cover a $300,000 mortgage at age 60. It's going to be another mortgage payment. It's going to be pretty expensive.
Right.
So I'm actually glad if they come straight out to me and tell me that, hey, my wife is going to sell the house anyway, because that's exactly what I was going to tell them. Right. I was going to say, so, Miss Mary, if your husband passed, are you going to stay here? Are you going to sell the house? Are you going to downsize? Most people downsize. I'm like trying to lead her to sell the house. I'm like, yeah, most people downsize when they lose their spouse. It's just them. It's a big house. They're going to manage it, take care of it by themselves. So she's like, oh, yeah. More than likely, I won't stay here. And then I'm going to show them what it would be to cover the mortgage payment. So in that situation, I would just show them what it would be for their final expenses, as well as just covering the payments for a year and a half, and
Enough time to sell the house.
Enough time to sell the house, right? Yeah. So I would couple the 30,000 in final expenses, and then add another 10 or 15,000 in mortgage protection. So they would need about 45,000 to pay for the mortgage payments for a year and then to cover the final expenses. Yeah.
Let me ask you, when you come across someone that might already have some insurance, how do you approach that? What questions do you ask? And how do you minimize that to help identify the need for more insurance?
Okay. So if they already have something in place, it's best to figure out exactly what it is they have, because of course we can replace that, right?
Yeah.
So for example, they have Primerica. Like they have Primerica, I'm like, oh God. Like, you have Primerica, this is gonna go up every, 10, 15, 20 years, and you want coverage. So I want for them though to realize that without me telling them that. Because if you tell them that, some people get upset because, somebody probably sold them a Primerica that's in their family or whatever. So they have a kind of like a little attachment to it, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's best to let the clients know what's going on, but without you being forceful and, trying to get them to replace their policy type of deal. You don't want to come off like that. So what I then do is that I ask them to go grab the policy. If they can't grab the policy, they can't find the policy for whatever reason, then I'm just going to go ahead and just contact the insurance carrier, right? So I literally get Primerica, call their company, and I'm like, oh, you got Primerica? Okay, that's no problem.
You call them right there?
I call them right there. So I go in my phone, Google Primerica. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. I'm just gonna just check to see what you have, because I want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and making sure that you have the right coverages in place, and we're not, giving you more insurance when you don't really necessarily need more insurance, right?
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and contact the company. So I go ahead and I call Primerica right there. Hopefully it's during the week. That way we can get them on the phone, right? Exactly. And then, I ask them those questions. Of course, typically the insurance carrier wants to verify that they can speak to me. I have the client verify that they can speak to me. And then once they can speak to me, I'll ask the representative, okay, so policy this is, how much are they paying monthly? How much longer will they have to pay that for? And when does that term end, right? And then after it ends, which is very key, how much will they then have to pay? Because once they hear that number, they're like, hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we do not want this. I don't want this. I'm not gonna go from paying $50 a month to $500 a month or whatever astronomical number that they come up with. Beyond me, right? So we want to make sure that we find that out, and we want to make sure that the client kind of finds that out, but leading them to finding that out. So we lead them in that direction as much as possible. And then once they find that out, then we try to make sure that we cover that with a permanent coverage. So hopefully the client is like, within the parameters of getting like an IUL. And then I'm going to show them the benefits of having something permanent where the premiums are locked in and it will never change on them or go up on them, versus having something that's going to be going away in the next couple of years. Yeah.
I found that, do you find that with Index Universal Life,
Mm-hmm.
you can sell to someone up to age 70.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a permanent policy side of things, it's a cheaper.
Actually 75 on Foresters, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've just gotten into
Yeah.
Foresters UL. Usually if they can qualify for the Mutual of Omaha,
Yeah.
I've never really had a major issue with that.
Right.
But with Mutual of Omaha IUL up to age 70, and the premiums are a lot less than what it would be on whole life.
Correct.
Yeah.
100%.
So
yes.
a lot of times, like if you haven't, you're meeting with older people, and some of them are on fixed incomes and they're, on a tight budget,
Mhm.
and you run them a whole life and I can't afford that. And they look at the little bit that they can get. They don't want it. They feel like it's not worth it for that little bit amount. I would usually just run it on an Index Universal Life. They can get more for less.
Yeah. As long as they can.
And as long as, yes, you have to make sure that
They're
they
healthy,
qualify
yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's a great alternative to just straight whole life.
yeah.
So if I'm sitting with a 60-year-old, a 70-year-old, even a 75-year-old, as long as they're healthy, I'm going straight IUL.
Yeah.
Because that's going to save them so much money in the long run versus a whole life
Yeah.
policy. Yeah.
Any other tips for in-home or any questions?
Any other questions?
Andres?
No, Miller, this was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Anybody on the chat? Let me see if there's
Anyone ask a question?
anybody on the chat have any questions. Hold on, let me jump in real quick.
Hey, can you explain the last part you just said again about the IUL?
Saying something? Or is that you?
Hello, Mike Philly.
Yeah.
I can't hear. Hold on,
All right, can you hear?
turn this up. Go ahead. What's your question?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so the last thing you said about the IUL, you said if you're sitting with somebody that's, I think, 50 or 60 and they're in good health or something like that, you transition to giving them an IUL because what again?
Because they're going to get more value from the policy and the premium is going to be way less than it would be a regular whole life. So instead of me selling them like a $30,000 Eagle or a Living Promise, they could possibly get like a $50,000 or a $60,000 policy for the same amount that they would get like a whole life for. So as long as they're healthy enough to qualify, I'm going to go there because they're going to get more value. They're going to get more insurance for a lower cost than they would a whole life insurance policy.
Okay, and I'm unfamiliar with the IULs. The IULs work the same way as the regular final expense would work with, right?
Correct, right. So as long as you're funding them correctly, yeah, they should. The Index Universal Life with Mutual Omaha typically takes them all the way up until age 100. And the Smart UL, as long as you fund it maximum, that should take them all the way up as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. You want to talk
The difference on the Index Universal Life Easy Solve is you get living benefits, which is great. You don't get accidental death on the Easy Solve. So that's the difference. So they ask you if your client, because if you're explaining to them a whole life, and it turns out that that's outside of their budget, now you have to switch over to the IUL. I usually just notice up front. Literally, if I meet with somebody that's making less than $1,000 on a fixed income, I'm going, and they qualify for IUL, I'm going straight there because I already know I'm not going to have a hard time getting them to purchase that at that point. But anyway, but if you ever have to switch from a whole life, we've already explained that product to them with the accidental death and everything. Once you switch over to Index Universal Life, you have to let them know that this one doesn't come with accidental, but it's okay. You're getting a lot more.
But you can add
for
it
less.
You can add accidental.
You can in the application. Yeah. Okay, because it can't be quoted. Like on Easy Solve, there. I didn't know.
Because I've added that before.
You
Yeah.
have?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the application.
Yeah, you can add it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know you can add it in the application. Yeah, okay,
You can add accidental to it.
okay. Well, that's good for me.
Is it more money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I quoted it, it only allows for
The regular amount. I will make you the application. You have to, it normally shows you some options.
I'm gonna check right now.
yeah,
But typically you should be able to add
unless I'm just entirely missing it.
the accidental coverage. I think you can do it in the quotes too, right?
Is it for a higher premium when you add the accidental on the application?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and usually if you're
It's not
adding
that much
accidental,
difference.
you have to put in the amount of accidental.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I remember seeing if it's an option.
No,
Do
it's
you-
not on the quoting tool.
Right.
Do
I
you
don't think it's an
remember
application.
seeing where you can add the accidental to Mutual of Omaha for the IUL?
IULs?
For Mutual of Omaha, where you
I
can add.
know.
Yeah, there is no accidental, not on Easy Solve. You can probably do it on the
You can.
other option.
You can do it on the full distance, but on Easy Solve.
Yeah. They only offer the living benefits on the Easy Solve.
Yeah, they
So-
do. They offer living benefits.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that's what I was
Before it
saying.
was not that.
So you have to make sure that they don't get the accidental, but it's okay because they usually get more of
More
a death
coverage,
benefit,
yeah.
more coverage anyway, whether they die due to an accident or not.
Mhm.
So,
So it's
No, but there's a solution for that too, but you have to have your health license, and this is very an upsell. Very important. You know, it's called guaranteed advantage with mutual format. and it's very cheap. So if somebody mentioned accidental death or you remember to mention it, you're gonna do 2 applications and submit it at the same time. That's fine. So you go to, but you have to have your health license. So this person is 62 years. You already have 201. You can go here and add your advantage, guaranteed advantage, and guaranteed advantage. We go up to 500,000. Since you're selling only 150, keep it very simple. Give them double indemnity, which means you're doubling their policy in case of accidental death. And then you just run a quick quote right there and add it to what they're paying. But you're gonna do 2 applications, yes, but you're giving them the ADV. Make sense?
How much is the ADV? I'm just curious.
ADV is very, 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 very cheap. And you can do it for anybody, even if the person is gonna die tomorrow. Yeah, we do it today and collect their money.
They don't do any health, they don't do any medical record check.
No, you see this, 62 years old, 150,000 was only $23.
Wow.
So you now take that $23 and add it to 201, you only have 224, but they get double indemnity in case of accidental death.
That makes a whole lot.
But you have to do 2 applications. That's how you handle it. And remember, this guaranteed advantage is very, very good. A lot of people, you go to them, you can't help them. But just imagine if you can walk out of there and say, hey, you are 40 years old, you have heart attack, you have this and that, but I can get you $500,000 accidental death. Just in case you fell from sky and die, or somebody hit you tomorrow, or
You fell from the sky and died.
Or you eat too many tacos.
just in case you're walking down the road and somebody run you over, it would be good to have 500,000 come to your family. At least the people will only have time to mourn your death, but they don't have to worry about the financial loss because of all your money that is gone. I'm only being human, trying to help you. Let's get this thing.
They will put a picture of you in the living room forever. You had them $500,000, right?
Exactly. You walk out of there a hero. You know what I mean?
Hero.
But this is I'm laughing about it. We're talking about, but we're not doing enough of this. This is an upsell that you can sell to anybody. Even you can go back and after you close a deal and offer them this. The reason is this: it's very cheap.
Guaranteed advantage.
Guaranteed advantage. We're not doing enough of it. I'm even myself. An average 40 male, okay, that you did this, give them $500,000 of protection, okay? Even psychologically, when they're talking to their wife, we lie to the women and tell them, oh, we got insurance, but we know we only have accidental death. I got $500,000 insurance.
For $2 a month.
Exactly. You make them be good, $63 for $500,000 for a 40 years old male, and you don't have to go to medical. That is great. It's something you can go to the street now and start offering it to everybody.
It's like a whole life. It's permanent.
It's a permanent 30 years.
It's a 30 years.
Yeah.
It's just, in America, just so
It's
you
a
know,
30
America
year.
has it also. So if you're dealing with.
But
somebody
there
with
is a
America-
caveat to this.
Mhm.
Have to have your health license to sell this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my
If you only have life, then call me.
All right.
I'll write it for you and give you a bonus.
No, you can call me. You can call me. He already got everybody's money. You can call me. Just call me. He
Boy,
too,
you got it?
he too busy. He's too busy. He's too busy on $1,000 premiums. Okay, you can call me.
Yeah.
All right, Letticia, take back over for
I'm just you're doing so good. We were on the straight and narrow path.
Yeah, never.
Prince came.
Yeah, Chris showed up. But aside from that, I think that's it on that topic.
Yep. Any other questions? Everybody else good?
No,
Anybody
when you guys, like, for example, I had a case that was like 74 years old, he could barely talk. He was very sick. When I asked him medication, they brought me like,
That's the AIG special
and
right
I was
there.
like, okay, well, what are the medical conditions? So the wife gave me a sheet with all the medical conditions of the guy.
Yeah, that's the AIG.
One time, what was I am on CVS, right? And so he asked me, but I'm gonna get my money back. And I was looking at him like inside of my mind, like, sir, you might die tomorrow,
Yeah,
And
literally.
it was a mortgage protection. It was a mortgage protection on women. It wasn't a final expense.
Yeah.
So
You just have to explain to them that, hey, these insurance companies aren't going to approve you with this long list of health issues. So if we do get you coverage, that's going to be a blessing because typically they don't approve it. This is not something that everyone can get. You have to be able to be approved health-wise to get this type of coverage. So let's see if we can even get you approved. And if we do get you approved, even though you're going to get an AIG,
Right.
you still have to build up the value of him even getting approved for something like that AIG. And once he sees that and understands that, then they'll be very thankful to you. Like they'll be like, oh man, thank you. Because nobody, I'm pretty sure if he's that age and he has no life insurance, it's a reason. He probably couldn't
no, he
get
had, he had a company that I never hear about before.
Okay.
I actually don't remember the name.
Yeah.
And he had only like $30,000. It was a whole life that he paid off.
Okay. Well,
you know?
that's good.
And that's the only thing that he has.
But he wanted more.
And the mortgage, he still owed like $180,000.
So he wanted more to bring up the gap.
And the wife was there, and I asked the question, how much is your income, your pension, whatever. And the quote was like $250, And at the end, they told me like, no, I need to, I'm paying my credit card because I want to fix my credit score and whatever. And so I don't have the $250 right now. And I was like, so I told him, look, how much time do you need to fix your credit? And he said, call me in March. So I call him, and he said, no, I haven't fixed my credit.
Yeah,
on
he's
the
not
phone,
gonna fix the credit.
On the phone, I told him, you are considering fixing your credit at this point of time.
It's like, so like I said, you have to build that value when you're there. He's just giving you the runaround. He's telling you no, but not telling you no.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to, especially with his situation where it's so dire.
Yeah.
Like literally, sir, like you have this going on that, you have a major, I don't know what was going on, but like say for instance, he had a major heart issue. Insurance companies not going to cover you if you have a heart issue. The heart is the major organ of your body, right? You could die tomorrow. Like literally your heart could go. That's a major organ that's in your body that, that you wouldn't get covered for. So if you have something like this going on, this is not a guarantee that we could get you this insurance coverage. So let's, go ahead and see. And if we can get you approved, like I said before, it will be good. But you have to build that value and let him know how dire it is and how important it is, of course, to making sure that he gets this now while you're there. Because next month when he fixes credit, what if he fixes credit and then he does the insurance? Then what happened? Like, it makes no sense, right? So you just have to make sure that you're being straight up with them, being honest with them, and you're showing them that what they're doing is important and that needs to be done now, not next month or whenever, because they may not be here. Like in his situation, like, sorry, this is the fourth, like you're in the fifth quarter, like the sixth, like he might die tomorrow. Like, no, we got to take care of this now.
So do you ever mention when they want to kind of like keep giving you the runaround? Do you ever mention the risk period? Because I always say that you want to start that as, you want to think about it. Take less time to think about it because the risk period, when you start that, the clock starts from there.
Oh, basically. You mean like
the 2 year waiting
period?
We're talking about guaranteed issue. Right?
Yeah. So I don't really stress that because most companies, even though they don't have a 2-year waiting period, it's a 2-year contestability period anyways. So, and then most people know that. Because if they die within the first 2 years, the insurance company can contest it and not pay it. Right. And most people, they know that. So I don't even stress that part. I don't even bring it up. My job is just to making sure that they get the insurance covered. No.
But they do know that you do.
They do know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And typically, because the situation that they're in, they are aware. They know that they can't get any more coverage because they've probably tried. To get covered and they couldn't. So
CVS and AIG has a 2 years period too.
CVS Aetna, I think
no, not Aetna. Well, most graded policies do have that.
I know they have a modified, right?
Yeah,
I think that's longer.
Modified works just like it.
Yeah, they have a modified and standard. I think it's modified stuff.
Modified is 2 years.
Even mutual.
I think theirs is.
Yeah,
I think theirs is graded, right? I think
It's graded.
mutual is 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is. But the best simple answer for what you say is the first thing she said, AIG. Because what you're saying is a bucket of load or something and it looks like he's gonna die tomorrow. That's automatic guaranteed issue.
Correct. Mhm.
It's not even graded or modified or anything because you've seen it. So you don't have to waste your too much time on it, and it's guaranteed that everybody get approved. Plus, they are actually at an advantage. If they die tomorrow, they get the money they paid back, and you get your nice charge back. I love
Nice
this.
charge. I'm done. And with that,
That's it.
okay.
So you have to pray. You have to pray that they don't die.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Good job, Let's appreciate it. Anissa, good job. Guys, hopefully this helped. If you guys want to hang out still, people are gonna be dialing.